I'm Alex Garrett, and I did want to deliver one last Super Bowl minute, but it's going to be more than a minute because I've got some thoughts. Obviously, it was an incredible game on Sunday night. Los Angeles, though they were technically the road team, was indeed the second team to host a Super Bowl the year the city hosted the Super Bowl. Of course, Tampa Bay was last year. This year, the Rams. Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford, two guys that, of all the Rams, I would want to see win the Super Bowl. Well, that was the main connection of the night. I mean, what a game. And Joe Burrow will get a ring. That's my thought here on Alex Garrett Podcasting. Burrow will get a ring. Allen will get a ring. They'll join Mahomes. But the other thing that's been boggling my mind all week is that, and kind of the swirling of Tom Brady has heightened that in my mind, is where are the NFC up-and-coming quarterbacks? I mean, Stafford, Rodgers, Brady, they're all establishment veterans. Now, you say Kyler Murray, and he made an impact this year, but he's not gotten to that greatness yet. So, the NFC relies on its legends, if you will. I mean, in the AFC, we did see Roethlisberger hang it up, and basically that gives way to the younger generation in the AFC. But in the NFC, Rodgers doesn't look like he's retiring. Brady doesn't know what he's going to do. Stafford, I think he's going to go for another year or two. And those three come to mind. Dak is a veteran at this point. He's young, but he's sort of become this vet. You've got Jimmy Garoppolo, who's been in the league for years now, and he's sort of an establishment with the Niners. By the way, if the Niners don't drop that interception, I'm convinced they're the team on Sunday playing that Super Bowl. But we don't have to delve into that. That's bygones and whatever. But what is it about the AFC landing these up-and-coming quarterbacks? Is it because the AFC has struggled a little more than the NFC? I mean, the NFC did win the Super Bowl again this year. That they do get the upper draft picks. I mean, the Jaguars, an AFC team, drafting Trevor Lawrence. He's got a few years to go to really grow. If Doug Peterson treats him like he treated Jalen Hurts, I do not think Lawrence will grow in that system. But if Peterson learns from his mistake of benching Jalen Hurts, I say it with a lot of irritation because I'm a Giant fan, and I'm also, a coach should always play to win the game, not trash a game by not playing your number one, round one draft pick in Jalen Hurts, who got the Eagles to the playoffs this year, by the way. But these names, Hurts, Kyler, they are up-and-comers. And I would add Heineke out of Washington. Washington tried with Reese Hoskins. Didn't work. Justin Fields did not work in the Matt Nagy system in Chicago. So that's why they're not as well known yet, because they're not been on the national stage yet. So because the AFC has been drafting more youth and more, they've been getting a lot more attention than the NFC because, now Brady has taken that attention for the most part. And the Bucs. I mean, every week it's eyes on the Bucs, it feels like. But, because the Giants, we don't know what we're going to do next, right? But the AFC has had a lot of success. Patrick Mahomes, his first year, he won the ring, if I'm not mistaken. He struggled against Brady in the 2021. But I mean, that drive against the Niners, how can you forget it? The way he was flying all over the place to make the plays. That's how he became a known entity in the NFL. So is the AFC weakness going to be the revolution for the NFL's youth in the sense of they're getting the younger quarterbacks? The NFC, they've had a few high draft picks. The Washington football team, the Commanders now, whatever you want to call them, they did have the second pick, I believe, last year. The Lions have been up there because they're perennially bad. I mean, come on now. And it was amazing, the turnaround. Stafford struggled, was injured with the Lions, goes to LA, and he was a totally different quarterback. Jared Goff had a chance. I mean, he was a huge factor in the Rams' early success when they moved to Los Angeles. Gets hurt, I think, in week 15 or something, the concussion. And now he's struggling in Detroit out of that trade. In fact, there are Detroit Rams shirts now. But is the weakness of the AFC, I'm going to go back to that question, going to be the revolution for the up-and-coming players? Because it looks like these NFC teams are not going to let go of their establishment quarterbacks, and it looks like the young guys are in systems that are not totally there for success at the moment. At the moment. It could be. I mean, Dak, under Mike McCarthy, that last drive against the Niners had to drive you crazy the way that happened. But Mike McCarthy, what happened to him? Yeah, you could say Daniel Jones, but he's now been in the league a few years. And are the Giants going to go and draft a quarterback again? Or are they going to stick with Jones? Personally, I say stick with Daniel Jones. I still think he has a future with the team. I do. But you look in the AFC East alone. Mac Jones, Tua, Josh Allen. And by the way, Tua and the Dolphins, I believe, had a good season compared to others. So why Brian Flores was let go, he says it was race. I really don't know why they let him go, to be honest with you. Because he beat the Patriots on the final week of the season in a big way. But I digress. Mac Jones, Allen, and then Zach Wilson. Let me make sure I get that right. Zach Wilson. He's shown some promise. He just didn't have an offensive line with the Jets and the Saleh system. But that AFC East alone is a laboratory for the NFL revolution because of the youth they've got there. I cannot say the same for any of those NFC conferences, really. Because you've got in the NFC North, you've got Cousins, you've got Rodgers, you've got Goff, who is a veteran, and yeah, you've got Fields, but again, there's not much youth in that division alone. So either the AFC losing almost every year, although being somewhat weaker than the NFC during the regular season, being the higher draft picks are having an effect, or the NFC is so afraid to go young. Is that possible too? Are they afraid to go young in Green Bay because they rely on Rodgers? Is Dallas afraid to go younger than Dak because, well, Dak could still be the future, but he's been hurt. He gets injured a lot. So we should see the answers play out maybe in this draft alone. But as of right now, the dynamic is incredible. The dynamic of the AFC drafting young and seeing success with young is something the NFC should look to. Because, and if you do look to them, put them in a system that works. Not a system that is so messed up. Matt Nagy not knowing which way is which, doesn't know whether to go with Dalton or Fields. It just was a mess. And that I pick on the Bears a little bit because that was a prime example of a failed system. Yes, going 3rd and 9 on a quarterback sneak with Jake Fromm, who might be the future of the Giants, although I don't know what his role is going to be. But obviously Jones was hurt, and so Fromm stepped in. But he's a couple years into this now. So I don't consider him as youthful as a Burrow, who in his second year, first full season, made it to the Super Bowl. I don't consider him as youthful as Josh Allen because, well, quite frankly, Allen looks like he's unstoppable every game he played from what I've seen. He might have struggled sometimes in the freezing cold of Buffalo. You know, he is a kid from USC, by the way. But he still proved himself. He's still on the national stage. He was still in it till the divisional round. And then, of course, I'm missing Lamar Jackson. I'm missing Baker Mayfield. But their time looks like it's dwindling. And I say that because I don't know. Wasn't Baker Mayfield this year. He was I believe he's still recovering from injury. Lamar Jackson, that Ravens system, again, was very perilous if you think about it. I mean, they tried for 2 against the Steelers very early on in the season, or in November, and didn't do it. They lost to the Steelers in overtime at home. Lamar was not playing because I believe he's hurt. But it just feels like the NFC is more afraid than the AFC to get after it, to go young. Because they want the faces somehow, for some reason, to be Brady and Rodgers, who are in their late 30s or, at this point, mid-40s with Tom Brady. That overshadow guys like Fields, I won't mention Daniel Jones. Like Fields, especially, like Hurts, especially. I think Jalen Hurts has a potential to take that Eagle team far. You saw it over the season. And they made the playoffs, which was pretty incredible too. But NFC, take the risk. Go young. Be in the fight for going youthful. Because clearly, in a draft of 30 teams or 30, the AFC is in the fight to go young. And they're doing well at it. And the fact that the old guard, if you will, and Matt Stafford beat Burrow shouldn't discourage Cincinnati fans, firstly. That yes, the knee is problematic, and that's his other knee, by the way, that he got injured on Sunday night in the Super Bowl. But losing to a veteran like Matthew Stafford isn't something to totally worry about, because you could bounce back for the next year. And Stafford, I'm proud of him. I think his comeback was just unbelievable. He had a great what was it, tight end, wide receiver in Cooper Kupp. And Kupp made history on the Rams in his first season, by the way. He won the MVP, but he also broke franchise record in receiving yards. So keep an eye on him. But my advice to the Maras of the world, the Jerry Joneses of the world, is don't be afraid to go young. Because it's working in the AFC. And you might be winning a couple Super Bowls back-to-back as a conference. But don't be afraid to go young, because the youth will beat the veterans and the establishment. We've seen it in the AFC already. But we can see it even more on a stage of a Super Bowl. Hell, we saw it when Tom Brady beat the Rams in 2002 on the leg of Adam Vinatieri. Yes. But I point back to that game because the Rams had Warner, Holt, Falk, an incredible team that season. Yet, they were upset by the up-and-coming Patriots, by a young quarterback. So it can happen. So let's see if this dynamic can shift. Let's see if the NFC can go younger even more than they are now. And let's see if the systems in place can lead to, especially down here. I'm very curious to see how Brian Daboll's Giants operate compared to the Shermers, the McAdoos, the Joe Judge Giants. I want to see how this system is different. And I pray we get that. But NFC, don't be afraid to go young. The AFC has done it, and they're mastering it, and they will be winning more Super Bowls as a conference, because you're still stuck on the Bradys and Rodgers of the world when you should be focused on the Hurts, on the Heineke, on the Kyler Murrays of the world. Those are the guys that you need to emulate. Those are the teams, draft picks you need to emulate if you want to have a competition in the NFC and against the AFC moving forward. I'm Alex Garrett with this extended Super Bowl Minute.